There's a small announcement for the participants from the Karnataka, outstation participants of Karnataka, please meet our coordinators at the registration desk during lunch. And the next presentation would be taken by Sri S.L. Agarwal and Sri Ankur Seth. Sri S.L. Agarwal is currently the Additional Commissioner of Commercial Tax Department, Government of Chhattisgarh. He has played a pivotal role in the computerization drive and e-governance program of Commercial Tax Department in the state of Chhattisgarh. He has been responsible for managing enforcement activities to detect tax evasion and fraud by using of innovative technology that has been developed in collaboration with SAS and PwC. Over the course of presentation, Sri S.L. Agarwal would be joined by Mr. Ankur Seth. Mr. Ankur Seth is currently the project manager of Roving Eye project. He hails from Delhi but has a very strong linkages with Hyderabad. He has done his masters from ISB Hyderabad. He has also served the Department of Child Supports in US as project manager. He brings the international expertise to the project of the Roving Eye. Now I would like to invite the team of Roving Eye to make the presentation.
We know that for any public welfare scheme, government needs money. And the main source of revenue of central government or state government is come through levy of taxes, like central excise duty, income tax, service tax, VAT, etc. Income tax is a direct tax, it is levied by central government, whereas central excise duty, service tax and VAT, these are indirect taxes. Central excise duty and service tax is presently levied and collected by central government of India, but VAT is a state subject. VAT is collected by state government, and for any state government it is the main source of revenue. VAT is an indirect tax, as I said. We all pay VAT, but we don't feel the burden of VAT because we are not directly paying it to the government treasury. We pay VAT when we purchase any goods, and the seller collects the VAT from us and deposit it to the government treasury. You may not be aware that in most of the states on diesel and petrol the rate of VAT is very high. In Chhattisgarh it is 25%. So if you run a car for a kilometer, you are paying more than 1 rupee as VAT. Whatever you pay as VAT, it goes to the government treasury because you are not paying it directly to the government treasury. It is collected by the seller. So it is the responsibility of the department that whatever tax is collected from our citizen is reached to the government treasury. Chhattisgarh government has developed some innovative practices to tackle those people who are not paying right tax or evading their tax obligations. I am going to present how innovative practices we have adopted to tackle those persons. Here is a brief of Commercial Tax Department of Chhattisgarh. VAT is the major source of revenue of Chhattisgarh government, and it is the major source of revenue for every state government. We have more than 76,000 registered dealers through which tax is collected. Our target for 13-14 is 9,000 crore rupees, and 90% of our tax payment is received through e-payment.
E-payment from the dealers or from the
Dealers. If a dealer's tax liability is more than 2 lakh rupees in a year, he has to pay tax only by e-payment. This is the background of tax whistleblower. We call it tax whistleblower because by these practices we are able to capture tax evaders. Priorities of the e-initiative. These are our priorities: transparency in tax administration system. By e-governance, there is a transparency in our tax administration system. To facilitate dealers by providing e-services, because VAT is paid by the dealer or seller to the government treasury, we have provided all e-services to the dealer to facilitate them. Follow-up of tax defaulters and evaders. By e-services, we are able to capture who are not paying their tax in time and who are evading tax. Better and effective use of available human resources. By providing e-services, we are able to effective use of our human resources. These are the e-services currently we are providing. E-payment. This service was launched in May 2010. E-return. A dealer has to file quarterly return showing his sales, his tax liability. This has been made compulsory for each and every dealer from July 2010. E-registration. Any dealer whose sale is in a year is above a certain limit, he has to get himself registered with the department. In Chhattisgarh, registration has been made compulsory. Registration is made only by e-services. E-statutory form, e-refund, e-certificate. These are all services we are providing. Now there is all the services we are providing through e-services. And this is our strategy adopted to tackle tax defaulters and tax evaders. First is structuring data resources. We capture the data through returns that are filed by the dealers. He shows his sales, exemptions, rate of tax, his tax liability. All the data we capture through returns. Making all tax module online, returns, refund, as I have said, that we have made all the modules online. A dealer had to file e-return, payment is made by e-payment, registration is through e-registration. So we have made all the modules online. Scientifically identify risk parameter. I will show you later how we identify the risk parameter to tackle defaulters. Passing all digital data through identify risk parameter. All the data collected are passed through risk parameters. Detect tax gap, target 5 risk groups, and enforce and initiate enforcement activity. So by these modules we are able to capture tax defaulters and tax evaders. These are some areas how a dealer try to evade taxes: hiding taxable sales, showing local sales, inflated purchases to claim input tax rebate, these are the areas we have identified how a dealer try to evade their tax liability. We have identified certain risk areas and we call those risky dealers. Who are risky dealers? These are the areas who are showing turnover less than purchase. Generally, sales should be more than purchase because profit element is there. But if a dealer showing more purchases and showing less sales, he is risky dealers. Decrease in taxable turnover. If a dealer's taxable turnover it decreases in comparison to last year, he is a risky dealer. He claims higher refund. So these are the areas where a dealer can try to evade his tax liability. We have developed 7 risk parameters where a dealer try to evade his tax liability. Increase in taxable turnover is less than 10% from previous year. Sale of tax-free goods is more than 20% in comparison to last year. Gross turnover is less than 80% of purchases. Stock transfer claim ratio. So these are 7 risk parameters we have developed to identify those dealers. And these are the live screenshots how on the basis of those risk parameters, these are the outcome. So there are 7 risk parameters to identify tax evaders. And on the basis of those 7 risk parameters, a dealer profile is under how many risk parameter a dealer comes. So you see that here Rajendra Steels, it is under 5 risk parameter. So he is a risky dealer for us. We go in detail, we go for detailed audit of these dealers. Apart from this, we have developed several modules with the help of SAS. Mr. Ankur Seth will show you.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, everyone. So Chhattisgarh Commercial Tax Department, as sir said, has launched all the e-services to be used by all the dealers that allow them to deposit back to the state. And also there have been certain work done in the area of defining risk parameters to catch how people are not paying their taxes and their liabilities, such that your money reaches the government and then obviously comes back to you via different services that the government offers. It's a very important aspect. What the department has now done as the next step is to adopt the latest technology, which is a SaaS-based solution to have a visual control over tax administration in the state. So now this first slide that you see, this is just few screenshots from that solution, how the new solution, the use of technology with the data that is collected through the online mode is helping the state in better tax administration and catching fraud and tax evasion. So this one, the one you see right now on the screen is revenue analysis. Now this, you don't see the power of this on a PowerPoint slide. It is an animated plot, a bubble plot is what it is called, an animated plot which shows you the state's revenue through different 5 or 7 years, the timeline that we chose. And you can break it down from the state to the division and the circle, how the state is geographically depicted at different levels, and monitor at that block level or at that circle level to see how that circle is performing vis-a-vis a different circle or a different area, geographical area, to understand the performance of that circle over a period of time, and also in comparison to the other geographical areas to understand the impact. And then take corrective action of how to force or how to make sure that people in that circle in office are improving their tax collection and the revenue base of the government. So now the next one, just as an example, is the top taxpayer analysis. Now this is in line with the philosophy of the Pareto principle, where 80% of effect really comes from 20% of the input or 20% of the cost. So, like sir said, there are 76,000 registered dealers in the state, but then most of your revenue, about 7,000 of the 9,000 crore is coming from 5,000 dealers. So you need a better focus to analyze those dealers and see how they are performing over the course of the year, such that you don't fall behind on your revenue targets by the time you close the year. Right? So this dashboard just allows you to do that. It's a very visual way of doing it. Just the color, just the use of color, red and blue, is going to tell you whether a person is paying more taxes compared to the last year or as per their obligations or lesser. Right? Now this also goes back to the area where implementation or understanding of technology is somewhat low. So with these kind of dashboards or these kind of screens now, technology has made it possible for people to not look at details and not know the technology. Just the color is going to tell you what action you need to take. Red is bad, blue is good. That's it. That's all you need to know to use some of these things. Now this is a commodity analysis which then tells you, how the different commodities, there are different tax rates that are levied on different commodities. So when you buy different products from the market, you pay a differential tax rate. It's not all the same. And each commodity, contributes a certain amount to the state exchequer. Now you need to do this analysis for two purposes. The state needs to do it for two purposes. One, for tax planning, for the revenue targets that they have for next year, and also to see what commodities are top contributors and what kind of policy changes I need to make to adjust the tax rates on those commodities to improve my revenue or probably promote a certain commodity in my state. Things like that. So these kind of dashboards just allow you to do that work much more easily than a typical web-based or a normal solution would allow you to do. So this is a tax rate analysis. Similarly, I will not go into details of this. This is a monthly tax rate analysis. So this was a key pain point area for the state where large dealers, they don't have to necessarily pay at the end. They have to pay throughout the year as an advance tax. And that is how the state makes sure that there is always enough money coming in month after month and you hit your revenue target at the end. You need to constantly monitor it such that, and this goes not just with commercial tax, for a lot of schemes, you need to monitor everything in the interim throughout the year, not at the end when you realize, oh, I have fallen behind. The continuous monitoring aspect is very important. So this allows you to do that, to see that, okay, how many people are supposed to pay, how much they have paid, have not paid, how much they are behind, and do this month after month, such that by the time you close the year, you know that you are almost certain to reach your revenue targets. You know where you stand. And this solution, of course, now gives you detailed reports where right from the management, if you see the revenue analysis, which is at a statewide level, from there you can go to division, circle, and monitor the entire geography of the state, and then produce detailed reports which will allow you to take specific action on that one dealer or that one tax evader or that person who's committing that fraud. It makes it easy for the entire department to use throughout the hierarchy and have a single view of what they are doing. Now this solution in future is going to make possible implementations of the nature of like this revenue forecast. So for example, instead of just arbitrarily assigning a target or saying I expect to grow at 10 or 20%, the collection of data over the years and the technology has made it possible for you to do this planning in a more scientific way. You can use data and say, what is my forecast? How much I am likely to do? And assign your targets based on that. Makes it more scientific, makes it more easy, right? And makes it more visual. So this is another example of text cloud analysis. For example, when you use Twitter, Facebook, these things, there's a lot of text analysis that is done that allows you to see what are the patterns emerging. We can do similar things on the data that we collect and say, okay, so for example, this one says gold, silver, on this is done for a particular circle. It shows that circle, most businesses or a higher percentage of businesses are trading in gold and silver. Just allows you to do that analysis and see where your revenue is coming from. What are the top areas which you need to go after? Now this is a business relationship analysis. These are different forms of analysis that help the employees, the officers at the department to improve the tax administration. So this one is, for example, you have one dealer, you figured out this dealer based on other data is doing something that is not appropriate. You want to figure out, okay, if this one is a fraud or a tax evader, what are the other guys who are linked to it and how we can go after them. That helps a lot in understanding the whole nature of business and the transactions that go on. and improve your tax base and also the overall revenue. With that, I'll turn over to Agarwal sir to show you some examples of how using these innovative technologies and solutions that is there in the department right now, they are able to improve the revenue and catch some of these cases.
These are some live examples how we were able to detect tax evasion by use of innovative technology. This is a case of Ganpati Motors. You will see that his total purchase in 2012 and 13 is more than 86 crore. But in return, he was showing taxable turnover only 61 crore. A motor car dealer will not stock up more than 20 crore rupees also. So the difference is 25 crore. When we sent the notice and examined the case, we found that the dealer was doing this practice for last more than 4 years. So detailed assessment was conducted for last 4 years and 19 crore of tax evasion was found, and this amount has been deposited into the government treasury. We generally think that a car dealer will not hide sales. Whenever you purchase a car, you receive a valid bill, VAT is charged, and this was the amount which was returned by him. He has charged this amount by the customer. Here is another example. Dynamic Equipment Private Limited. In 2011-12, he has purchased more than 123 crore. But his taxable turnover, he shows only 25 crore. So the difference is about 100 crore. One dealer cannot maintain stock of more than 100 crore rupees. When we examined the case, we found that the dealer was evading his taxable turnover for last 4 years. In this case also, 19 crore of tax evasion was found, and 10 crore has already been deposited into the government treasury, and rest will be deposited by the end of this year. So I want to show that by use of this innovative technology, we were able to capture defaulters and evaders. This is public money. This is your and our money which the dealer has collected from us but not deposited into the government treasury. But by use of this technology, we are now able to capture those tax defaulters, those tax evaders. So approximately 100 crore tax evasion we have detected so far by use of this technology, and more than 50 crore rupees has already been deposited into the government treasury. There is more to be done, but we are going ahead and we will do more in coming days. Thank you.
Just would like to mention a small point. This solution that is there, both the risk parameter and the SaaS solution that we demonstrated, is the first of its kind in any commercial tax department in the country. So Chhattisgarh therefore is sort of a front runner in the use of technology in this area. Thank you.
We'll take questions pertaining to not only this session but to the earlier session. I know that some of you wanted to perhaps ask for some clarification, so I have requested Ms. Kavita Bhatia to take questions. So the session is open for both. Now I think you certainly.
Yeah, madam.
So now the question is
To whom?
Madam Kavita Bhatia. So the major challenge is to reach to the rural poor people. The device which we are taking as mobile device it is very easy to receive the mobile for a normal conversation. A citizen can easily use the mobile device for a normal conversation. But the criticalities that are lying in e-governance applications to reach to the rural person is a big challenge. So here, the technology of mobile technology is changing day by day, and the cost factor, because a normal person cannot take the mobile device and use, especially for the purpose of the our e-governance applications. So, what kind of architecture are you planning? Is there any kind of enterprise architecture where the a kind of dynamic changing situation, and not only that, the change of management to the rural citizens, how you adapt, orient them towards utilizing these devices? Is there any plan of that nature?
Yeah, there is a plan for that. There's a plan already put in place. As I said, that the first way is to give the awareness. That's also being taken up. But awareness will not only solve the problem, you need to have the services at a very nominal price. So to start with, we have tried to bring down the cost which the citizen will avail for each service. Second, the service is to be architected in such a way that it is very easy for him to request for a service. And for that method, we are going ahead with the USSD. It's a dynamic interactive session being created between the requester and the department backend, through which very simple inputs, if he gives, he will be able to get the service delivered. The next channel which we have already put in place is the interactive voice response. Through that also we will be in a position to get the service. So we have put down some steps, and the important thing to get the services by the citizen is the awareness, which we are starting, I would say, started very late, but we have started now, the awareness.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Can I questions to Kavita, please?
Yes.
Ma'am, can we use this application for data transfer for health services?
Yeah, we have worked with the health department, and they are capturing for the Anganwadi. That service is being done where the Anganwadi people are capturing the data, they are storing the data into the mobile, and as and when they are in a location where the data connectivity is there, the data is being pushed. That is also being done through the.
Will we need Android-based mobiles for this, or?
It depends upon the department. Android base is why we are having not many applications on Android basis, that it is royalty free, does not have any restrictions. It is, and these days the cheapest of the mobile available on Android starts from 1500. So that's one of the main reasons why Android phones are being used to large extent. But the same application can work on iOS as well as on Windows. We need to recompile the application. As I said, that there are already tools available like HTML5. The development efforts is reduced. That is done only once, and recompilation can give the same application in different flavors of OS. So that can be done.
Ma'am, apart from service delivery convergence, why not we are thinking about these data collection convergence? Like we are collecting data for census, Aadhaar ID, and birth certificate from different sources, different aspects. Why not we are linking to converging each other's?
Aadhaar data is being now seeded into multiple departments, multiple databases. That seeding will take some time from now to come in, where the Aadhaar would be seeded. Actually, it's the strategy being adopted by Aadhaar that they have multiple channels to get the data. But each data would be specific to the department. Like for example, health data will not be able to be captured by any other department. The owner of the data, as I said, is always the department who owns the data. So they have to come up with the strategy how and from whom they can capture the data. If they come up with a strategy that while a person is going for registering for Aadhaar, he should also get certain important critical data with respect to health or other social services, that can also be put in place. Actually, it is at the higher level where they have to take a decision.
Yes, but we have data available on census.
Yeah, we have data.
We can use this data
Yeah,
in
yeah.
all these
Yes,
steps.
yes. And in fact, under the EIT, we have done the metadata and data, which is the semantic interoperability of the data which has been captured by the census with respect to the state, with respect to the district, with respect to the talukas. They have done a unique identification of all these areas. Plus, we have also identified other key data which are critical and being used by across the department that has been standardized. So there is processes are there and work is already going on in that area.
Because for caste certificate, residence certificate, we are using these manpower and
But-
wasting resources.
Yeah.
We can download, our citizen can download from that source.
Yeah, they can
These
download.
these things.
The departments can download, but the another thing which we need to know is that census data is only captured once in 11 years. So it's quite possible that I might be in one place when the last census data has happened, but I might have moved on to another place by that time.
But it can be updated with birth
Yeah.
certificate.
Yeah, it can be updated.
Always.
The students are conspicuous with their silence. Can we encourage some of them to ask questions? Youngsters, yes, somebody in the last.
42% in
Somebody in the last row. Mike, you went.
So if you
Yeah.
think about the mobile utilization ratio is very less in the integrated tribal area. What is the approach you are going to do in the mobile governance?
See, in the tribal area, there are a lot of issues with respect to the towers and the connectivity. That we are trying to try for the difficult terrain regions. We are working and coming up with the VSAT so that the connectivity is being brought in place. Also, we are trying to put a pressure to the TRI and the DOT that all the telcos should also go to the difficult terrain where there are issues. BSNL is the only one which has reached up to the maximum location, even the difficult terrains also BSNL. So we are also asking the other private players to go, but work is already started and there it's not that the connectivity is not available, but yes, only few players are having the connectivity over there. So because of that, the charge may be little higher, but connectivity is there and we are also trying to improve that connectivity.
At what level you are trying to doing in the government sector?
Through BSNL only, because I said that BSNL is the only one which is being available in all the 21 circles of our country with respect to the connectivity, and they have laid down the fiber across the country. Because it is very difficult to lay the fiber, and with NOFN and other projects coming in, the fiber would be put in place. So when few years down the line, all the circles of our country, which covers the entire country, would be connected and will have the connectivity available.
Sir, other question I am posing. What are the tax holidays and subsidies you are giving in Chhattisgarh in e-platform?
Shall we finish the questions to Kavita?
Tax
Then come back?
holidays, yeah. I have
Can we ask that lady to ask that question to Kavita, please?
Ma'am, as we heard from you, 40% of the people are using in rural area mobiles. But they are using only for receiving calls or dialing the numbers to talk to someone. But when you are sending or pushing messages regarding DBT, direct benefit tax, if we take LPG connections or the benefit which they are receiving. But how do they come to know that they have received the amount in their banks if you send SMS in the text form? So is it possible for them to receive voice messages so that they can have assurance that government has put amount into their bank?
Currently, as you yourself have said, that it is done through SMS, but the channel is available. It is up to the department to use that channel. In Manipur, which we have done, we are initiating an IVRS call where the pensioners come to know that their pension has come to the department. So it is possible. We as an initiative have done it, but now it depends upon the department to avail that channel.
Thank you.
So now can we throw anybody else for Kavita? Kavita? No, just wait. Anybody else for Kavita? About tax, yes. About the commercial tax. Yes, please.
Ma'am, the applicant is giving his application through mobile. Is there any authentication we have planned, or maybe in our framework it is there to authenticate that applicant?
We have put up a framework for authentication, which we are building on top of it. But currently, the authentication which various departments use is either if that state is having a lot of penetration of UID, then they are using UID authentication. Otherwise, they are using other certificate authentication, because with mobile forms, there is a provision to attach a scanned copy of the certificate, like my PAN card and all, or my any other driving license or anything. With the help of that, they are doing it. But in the process, like within 6 months, our authentication platform would be ready, which allows 5 types of authentication. 1 without user ID and password, 2 with user ID and password if the application is not that critical, 3 with the help of an OTP, which will be again based on your mobile number, 4 it will be based on the DSC, and 5 it will be based on the biometric. And in all these levels, we already have put in the infrastructure for giving the ASA service of Aadhaar. So anyone can do the authentication of the citizen using that service of ours, and can authenticate a citizen based on his UID number. Because UID has put in place a complete framework where only ASA can talk to UID, and below ASA there will be multiple AUAs. So we are one of the ASA of UID, and we are giving that service. Like for example, Rajasthan is using that service and authenticating their citizens. Andhra is using, Delhi is using. So 3 of these states where Aadhaar penetration is large, for multiple services they are using Aadhaar verification through our services.
Thank you. Thank you.
In the field of agriculture through this mobile.
Cannot think of anything upfront, but yes, we are currently working on the Aadhaar authentication platform, which is ePraman, because we have to build the components based on standards. So we are very closely working on the standards, and the components would be available on the App Store so that everyone can use it. And any other project, if you can give me your address, I can come back to you if at all in due course of time we think about any other project.
That would be a good idea.
You are doing what you are seeking. In terms of prediction of weather, they are studying the weather data from different sources, and the weather predictions, the incidence of rainfall with almost 80 to 90% accuracy, the quantum of rainfall, the occurrence of snow, etc. They are all being studied from different sources. And in fact, there is one lady who has come and made a presentation. I think that system is doing reasonably well, number one. But more important is the market prices, the expected market prices over a period of 3 months, 6 months, taking into consideration the various stocks of agricultural commodities, the crops that are being raised or that have been failed to raise. This is what I think the farmer is on the lookout for on a large scale. That also is coming. I asked that gentleman whether that is being done. I think they would soon be coming up with models. But a lot of work is being done by the private sector.
Yeah, now let us switch over to one year. Last year we were there in the main ASCII campus, where more than half the collectors of Chhattisgarh were present. The public distribution system they were highlighting. An excellent example.
Tomorrow there is
Yeah, exactly. That we're going to do tomorrow. So it's another classical example now has been presented, wherein the tax evasion could be detected. Can you have questions?
Yes.
That? Somebody wanted to ask this. Yeah, please.
As per your presentation, that all the data, I think I mean to say amounts, that is purchase, sales, turnover, taxable turnover, taxes, are based on the declaration of dealers only. That what they are declaring on the time of return, that is only. And we are analyzing, I will say government is analyzing that data and tracking these frauds. why not we are introducing the e-billing system? I mean to say invoicing system, and the e-payment and road permit can be connected, mandatorily connected with that. So will it not work?
This is good, and at present there is no check post, and e-Sugam as is in Karnataka is not in Chhattisgarh. But your suggestion is good. If e-billing is mandatory, then all the data can be processed. Here we have done one thing. What example I have shown you. Whenever a dealer purchases goods from outside the state, he issues C-Farm. So when C-Farm is issued, all the data are collected in our network. So in these examples, we have shown that he had issued C-Farm for purchases for different amount, and he has shown different amount in his returns. So by use of technology, we have captured the data of his purchases by issue of C-Farm and he turnover from the returns. So after matching that, we have been able to detect tax evasion.
Please.
The moment they see the registration of a vehicle number, 4 windows open, and then they will speak of whether the vehicle has been paid for, tax paid, driver license, etc. I mean, you can see that in front of the computer. So I think that Madhya Pradesh experience, I don't know, somebody is from Madhya Pradesh, which is worth looking at. The moment there is a vehicle number, 4 computer windows open, and all the details related to that vehicle, goods we carry, they are all available, so that the driver, the owner are not unnecessarily harassed. It's worthwhile following.
Sir, I am Dr. Razik from medical profession.
Drugs and medicines.
We are paying profession tax in Andhra Pradesh.
We don't have professional tax. In Chhattisgarh, professional tax has been abolished.
Thank you.
For any fraud suspect. For example, we go to the petrol bunks and it is unless we ask for the bill that they issue the bill. They do not issue the bill unless we ask, many petrol bunks. So if we suspect any fraud in this, how can we approach you? How can we tell you? How can we use the common man's right?
So you can go there and give details of tax evasion. If you are not getting any bills or you suspect any tax fraud, you can go in online and make your complaint, and that will directly be received by us, and we take action against those dealers.
With the M-governance system coming up, don't we have any SMS facility so that we can approach you quickly and faster?
Year by year. So in that case, it may be possible that dealers, the business of that dealer is being decreased. So
it is possible that there is no tax evasion, but we suspect, we keep those dealers in our risky area. It is not necessary that every dealer's turnover is go day by day, but we should scrutinize those dealers whose turnover is falling day by day.
Okay, one last question.
Also, another, just to add to that, you have to see that a particular business may be going down. That could be an impact of the overall state revenue going down because the market is in a downturn right now, or a downturn in that particular commodity that that person is trading in. For example, auto sales are down right now. Right? So every auto dealer will report a lower revenue compared to last year maybe. Now, your analysis is going to be based on that. It is not that you just pick up one dealer and say, okay, his revenue is lower, so I should go after it. You don't do that, right? You say, this commodity is generally lower, my state revenue is also lower, but that difference is 10%, but this dealer is reporting maybe a difference of 20 or 30%. So then you get him on the net.
That depends upon analysis and the trends.
Absolutely. It's all pattern analysis, right? You're not doing after everyone. See, it's not humanly possible. 2, it is not advisable. Not advisable. The state cannot go after everyone. It sends a wrong signal. It also means harassment to the person who is doing a business. State has to both appear friendly to business At the same time, also making sure that cases of fraud and evasion are not happening. It can be minimized. It cannot be eliminated. It can be minimized.
Can you finish your question? One small question.
Most of the bills are paid
Lunchtime.
through credit cards, debit cards, net banking. So that's amount can be transferred to the treasury
straight away against the VAT. Can you make it so that the consumer also, he may be intent to pay the bill through the credit card or debit card, so that he is ensuring that his part of VAT is credited to the government without any interruption.
I got your question. How can you
additionally the cost of the consumer just pay again 1.8%.
The government can provide that exception of the additional.
Banking, cash,
you cannot compel either the citizen to pay by card because he should have the discretion to pay by cash.
No, we are not compelling.
Also, you cannot compel the dealer, the businessman, to accept anything other than cash.
Your customer is coming to pay the bill through the card because of his own voluntary option. So because he is ensuring that this part of the VAT is credited into the government treasury without any interruption or without any fraudulence.
Right. No, but see, thing is, again, it's a challenge, right? You have to see how much data you want and what you want to do with it.
Can be addressed through this e-tax invoicing. E-billing is there. While, for example, if you buy a mobile phone from a store, in some stores in Hyderabad, that bill is generated from Bangalore. He is not at any bill here.
Correct.
Automatically that is linked with the VAT, the sales tax department. That goes, the component goes to that credited will come separately.
See,
so that is a proper address.
All of these things can be done. The issue is, again, it goes back to how much data you want, what do you want to do with it, and why are you collecting it? See, people are also worried of providing data to the government. Why do you want every record from me? Why do you want every invoice of my business if I am not doing anything wrong? That's the first premise, right? Why will I come to you and ask for everything that you have purchased when you are not evading taxes? I have no proof of saying that you are evading taxes, so why should you provide every data? So it is a balance you have to strike between how much data you want and what you want to do with it. It also has to be manageable. There is a big perception that you have to avoid as being seen as someone who's intruding into what the businessman is doing or what the citizen is doing. Not at all.
Now the time has come to close the session. We have different, varied presentations but related to each other. And we are grateful to all the speakers. And thank you very much.
My question is not answered, sir.
We'll take this question, we'll take it informally during lunchtime.
No commercial tax exemption is provided to a new industry. Industry department certainly provides some subsidy to the new industries, but no commercial tax exemption is now available to a new industry.
Thank you. A couple of announcements before lunch, break for lunch. Everybody, I suppose you would have registered and given your particulars, your email address and the department from which you're coming. Because we'll also be sending you the online newsletter. That's how we keep connected. And that's another way we disseminate the information. First thing. And second thing is, by the time you come back from lunch, there will be another set of papers that could be on each seat. It is about the Korean speaker, some details about his presentation, and also a feedback form about, because they have specifically requested that. Third thing, yeah, we've had a good time indulging our cognitive structures. Probably it's time to indulge late, so kindly join us for lunch. Thank you. And you're kindly requested to be back by 12:40.